Hi everyone. Yeah, sorry for the delay. I think we had some technical
Technical
issues
issues.
because this is our first YouTube live. So thank you for joining in. Today will be just a Q&A session. Um, yeah, so drop in your questions. We will start answering them one by one. So if you guys have any questions regarding your career in data science, data analytics, let us know. Drop in the questions in the chat box here, so we will take a look at it and start answering your questions. So, Suraj, do you want to quickly tell people who are trying to move into data science? Can you give them quick 5 tips?
Oh well, this is definitely not rehearsed, so you caught me off guard. Uh, so people moving to data science and tips. Um, yeah, data science is one of the hardest jobs today. So everyone's trying to get into data science. So I would suggest first figure out if you like data science. Are you a kind of person who likes to always stay up to date? Not afraid of maths, on the equations and complexities. Always ready to solve challenges and yeah, things like that. So figure out if you like data science, and then you need to be really good at programming too. Although you might think it's more of algorithms work, you still need a way to communicate that to people. So best way to do that is using programming, like Python programming. So go ahead and learn Python programming very well, and then yeah, take one of the courses in machine learning. Learn machine learning concepts, statistics, maths, fundamentals, and yeah, so go ahead and put your questions in the question box. We're talking about data science, and the last point is the last tip I would say is work with someone for like building your portfolio projects and the resume so you can land a job in your dream company or in the industry that you want.
I think you might have to talk a little louder.
Okay.
So, and I think the other question that's coming in
Mm-hmm.
is how hard is data analyst compared to data science? I think it's the other way around. Like data science is harder. So if you're transitioning into data science, I would say become a data analyst. Then it's easier for you to transition into data science.
Mm-hmm.
Data science is a little more harder because you need to learn a lot more programming, a lot more modeling, the algorithms and
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's the other way around. The question was from uh, Amarendranath. So yeah, Amarendranath. So it is the other way around. Yeah. And yeah, so let us know, and if you have any questions, just chat, just put it in the comments, and we will answer all your questions, right? Because
Yeah.
we were getting a lot of questions from you guys. I think on Instagram, on our channel, we did a live session that went on for more than 1 hour, and usually on Instagram, they don't allow to go more than an hour. So yeah, and yeah, so you were telling about the 5 tips, right? So what's again how, because many people were asking how much math should you know as a data scientist? um, do you have a question answer for that?
Depends on the kind of company you're working for, right? I mean, if you're solving certain kinds of problems like statistical machine learning, forecasting and all that stuff, anything that involves statistics, you need to know statistics very well, which are comparatively easier and simpler compared to the deep learning concepts. The deep learning concepts, you need to know how to use them, you need to know the algorithms to a certain extent, but you don't build them from scratch. most of the times when you're a data scientist, you don't tend to build projects from scratch. So you could always, libraries or functions from scratch. You always borrow them from tested systems and tested libraries. So that's how you would go about doing it. So you need to know if you need to dive in and tune the algorithm. So you need to know the understanding. Primarily, you would use calculus and things like backpropagation, some uh, computer programming related things with respect to um, how you process all this.
Yeah, so I think the next question is, which is the most booming analytics? Which is the most booming, analytics or machine learning?
I think there is space for both,
Yeah.
for sure. Booming, I would say, analytics has been in the industry for a while now, uh, and machine learning since 5 7 years. There's this deep learning that came into picture, which became popular. It was there from 1998 or something like that, but it came into picture, and those GPUs and these machines became cheaper, compute became cheaper. So, and at the same time, we had a lot more data. So deep learning, everyone started focusing on deep learning, which is a part of machine learning. That became really popular. Machine learning was there for 30 40 years, but they thought we couldn't do much with it because it requires too much data, too much processing, and they were very slow. And about 2013 2014, things started changing a lot, and you see a lot more machine learning and deep learning algorithms coming in. So I would say machine learning is booming. Data analytics is definitely important, and it's been there a little longer than the hype and the boom
Yeah,
that you're seeing
and
with
I
machine
think
learning.
some when it comes to like booming, I think because the more the data that's generated, I think the more need for analytics too.
Correct.
So like today, I don't know, like there are so many billions of whatever data that's being produced today. So I'm pretty sure that's going to stay. And I think with that, like all the advancements, like the deep learning, machine learning, that's obviously going to be there with the advancement of analytics. And I think some parts of analytics too, like people are talking about, what is the future of analytics, like data analytics, business analytics, is that going to be automated too? But I think there are certain things where in especially in data analytics that cannot be automated, because especially the storytelling part, like the narrative part of data, that is very hard to automate. So I think that would be my take for automation on analytics.
I think we had another question from Amarendranath. So there are a lot of terms like ML, DS, DA, NLP, etc. Can you elaborate? So, I mean, so everything is related to machine learning, data science. Data science is a big umbrella where machine learning is a part of it. Anything to do with data and data scientists, some sort of research that's related to it. That's what kind of separates the data science from analytics, right? Analytics is showing what the business is doing today and where, how it's performing today. But the data science is about getting into the details and doing some research, coming up with algorithms or implementing algorithms to novel problems or different problems that it has not been done before. So anything that's new, anything that requires research, testing, all that stuff, that's data science. And machine learning is a part of data science. Again, data science becomes the umbrella, and you have AI algorithms, machine learning algorithms, computer vision. You asked about NLP. It stands for natural language processing. It is basically the way you are understanding me speak is because we have this common language English, and you're able to understand. If machine needs to understand, machines have their own language, and everything is communicated through zeros and ones. As you start building abstractions over it, like you have Programming languages. Initially, there was like machine code, which was zeros and ones. Then there's assembly language, which is a little more understandable for humans, but also there was like not exactly the machine code. Now we have computer languages, C, Java, Python, etc. That's still we call that high level language, but what you and I are communicating with is English. And if the machines needs to understand English, NLP is used, natural language processing. It's the natural language, not the machine language, not the programming language. It's the natural language. And that's where the NLP is useful. And lately, a lot of developments in NLP because of the data and everything that's going on. Definitely, there's a lot of interest, and there's a lot of projects related to NLP, anywhere from document processing to speech recognition. You have Google, Alexa, all those
Yeah.
Siri, all these things which are communicating to
I
you
think
in natural language.
Google has its own thing for the Google voice and stuff,
Voice,
right?
right? Yeah. So yeah, so when it comes to those devices, there are two aspects to it. One is understanding the language, understanding what you're saying. That means it needs to first convert what just the speech recognition, right? The voice recognition or speech recognition, actually. So when I'm saying something, it'll convert. There's one piece that's going to convert that into English, and there's another model that understands the English, understands what you're asking, and then finds results for it and then reply back. And that is another machine learning. That's where the NLP is. And then there is generation, which is speech synthesis, and that's how it replies back. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Raja had another question. He's learning cloud tools for databases. Is it good for analyst? Yeah, I think slowly we are moving into like cloud. So, and obviously anything related to cloud based, especially for analytics, it's really good. I think especially the Microsoft Azure has a lot of cloud, that Azure SQL, and there are some, the drag and drop like kind of features for machine learning too in Azure, which is pretty interesting. Like very nice the way, it's like you can just drag and drop it, and you can build a model. So all
Sure.
those tools are really good. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could like take a step back and give you an explanation, instead of just giving you an answer here, talking about what is the importance about the cloud. So initially, all the servers, right? Servers are the compute, just like your desktop, that you might use for gaming. It's similar to that, but sitting in a different form factor inside a room, and that's where all these websites are hosted, the videos are hosted, all the communication databases, everything is hosted there. It used to be, if you take 10, 20 years ago, all the companies would have a server room and they would have servers sitting inside, which then serves the websites and everything. Later, starting I think about 10 years ago, they started moving towards cloud computing, meaning now instead of offices hosting those computers on their site, in their facility, they have it in server farms. This could be Microsoft, Google, Amazon. They all have server farms. So now you buy a piece of computing. It's like a virtual machine. It's like you're logging in to a computer, but that computer is sitting somewhere else and it's processing. Now, these server farms are worldwide. They have high reliability, they have power supply, backup power supply,
They
everything.
are like so secure that like I recently I was going through, and they were saying that these server farms are like they have you a roundabout before that actually that farm starts, so that like no one can come straight and like do anything, so it's that secure and safe. So
Yeah. So if there was like a fire in the building and the traditional company had servers which got burned in fire, all the data is lost.
yeah.
So some companies used to have another facility where they would back up things so the data would, redundancy is kept and all that stuff. But now with cloud, you have redundancy that's provided by these services. right? There's no maintenance, you don't have to pay electricity bill, you don't have to have guard, you don't have to have computer system management people, you don't have to switch out bad hard drives or anything like that. Everything is taken care by the cloud. So everyone's moving into cloud. That's where the future is. There were concerns about security, but there is much work that's been done on cloud security and all that. Now, by default, all companies that are starting in cloud. Almost nobody starts having in-house servers, except for maybe a few banking and things like that. There are certain regulations which prevent them from moving into cloud or putting the data into cloud. But otherwise, most companies are moving into cloud, so you should be learning everything related to cloud moving forward. But the principles and the philosophies of like databases and SQL, they don't change much. Whether cloud or internal, it's all going to be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think one of the other, like the most requested topic was about transitioning into data science, right? From especially from a background of they don't even have like a background of a technical background. So there are many people who are trying to transition from a non-technical background to data science. So do you have any tips for that?
Non-technical to data science is a tough journey. I would suggest to start as a data analyst or business analyst based on where you come from and take it forward from there. But it's usually not a good idea to directly start into data science. It's going to take you many months or even years before you can get into data science if you're starting from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. I think many people like they kind of move into data science not knowing or not having proper guidance. So I think that's another thing that I would suggest you to have proper guidance before you move into data science, especially from a non-technical route. Because if you have the right guidance, you'll be able to take the right steps to move into data. And I think one of the like main step it would be to like start with analytics. Start with, maybe it could even be business analytics. You kind of get that understanding about exactly what analytics do people do, and it can help you grow into becoming a data analyst, and then you can transition to data science. I think that many people like just move like without knowing, they just get into these courses, data science courses, and it is super overwhelming, because the reason is because it's obviously it's going to be a lot for someone who is from a non-technical background. And I think Raja had another question. Yeah, how how can we learn logic about story learning? Can you suggest any real time scenario?
Storytelling, I think.
Oh, okay. How can you learn? Okay. Oh, okay. So you're asking about like how do you like represent is what. So Raja, can you like make the question much clearer? I didn't kind of understand your question. So are you asking how to represent logic in storytelling terms, or is that your question?
I think I can take a story. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think I can rephrase this question to see if that makes sense. Are you asking if uh, how do you go about learning storytelling skills? And can you give an example, real world scenario of how the storytelling is used, or
Okay.
what do you mean by storytelling by data and data analytics?
Okay, got it. Yeah, so actually, like storytelling skills, like in the real world scenario, what I can say, we use it especially for a data analyst. So for example, like a business comes and asks you, maybe why, like during November, it's the Thanksgiving time here in the US. So, like business is asking, why don't you understand why the sales are down during November? So as a data analyst, you take all the data, obviously do data cleaning and all that stuff, and then start plotting it, do some visualizations, and then you understand that probably the products that were supposed to be out within 2 days were not delivered to the customers, and that's why there was a less sales during that period, the peak season. So that is something that you found out when you actually went deep into the data and you understand it and you're explaining it to the business. So this portion which I told you, where because the sales were down, because it was not reaching customers at the right time, that is the reason why people were not buying from us. So this is where the storytelling part comes in. This is just a small example that I can give at the top of my head right now.
Sure, and you
So
would usually combine that with like a PowerPoint
PowerPoint, yeah,
presentation with, graphs and charts explaining different
yeah,
things. That
yeah.
if
So
there are
basically,
anomalies, you would like do some research to figure out, and you build a story to say, hey, this is what happened.
yeah.
Here's the data, and this is what the data is saying. Here's what the business is saying, and this is what you think happened. And if you have
Yeah.
proofs, you would attach to it. You would attach all the data and everything.
Yeah, so actually making someone from the business also understand what is the data saying, right? So for example, if I tell this is the value of, if you tell it in numerical terms for someone in the business, they obviously wouldn't understand it, right? You need to tell it in terms of like it should make business sense. Like probably you mention it with like the terms that business uses, so that they can understand it better. So it should be as easy and as simple as possible. That is where the storytelling skills comes in. Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. We're answering your questions. Yeah. So with that, I think like actually Raja brought up a very interesting topic, storytelling skills. So do you feel that in data science storytelling is used?
It is important for sure, yeah, because we'll also be doing exploitative data analysis, which is one of the stages of data science or data science projects, where you would explore the data and see if you have enough data to, if you have the right data, if you have enough data to build a model. If you've captured all the features, is what we call them as, if you've captured all the features that would determine the decision, helps in making decisions, and machine learning in general requires these features to look at and say, or make a decision on that. For example, if I know what's an example? um, all right, so if you're trying to, let's say, take a flight to uh, an island where it's not very common to, there are not common flights, there are infrequent flights. You're trying to figure out uh, when those flights will be and how is the airlines deciding on that. If you think about, if you collect the weather data, if you collect the like temperature, is it raining or not raining, the things like that, and say you're going to predict if the airline is going to have in the future, if they're going to have it on this day or not, that may or may not be true, right? The actual reason could be that someone is making that policy, someone is making that decision, or someone is having that based on a report by another data analyst who's forecasting the demands and things like that. So there are things that you may not know, and if you don't have those features, you will not be able to predict that correctly. That is where the feature engineering or understanding the data comes into picture. So do you have all the data that is going to show how this is going to be affected, or even make the prediction?
Yeah, and I think also when it comes to data scientists, they also have to be like able to present to the business, right? About whatever like the model that they built, like especially machine learning, deep learning, and obviously deep learning and all those things are more like complex, and to break it down to like to make the business understand, I think that is also some a skill that is
Sure.
needed, right?
Definitely, I think many people won't be able to explain that. I think that's one of the skills most data scientists kind of lack. they would tell in terms of model performance
Yeah.
or in terms of certain statistical information, but then making business understand or helping them, gain their trust, saying, hey, even it's difficult for complex machine learning algorithms, even for us to understand why is it making a decision, right? Any deep learning models, any complex machine learning models will be difficult to explain. So there are research that's going on in terms of explainability. Like if you ask a person why was this decision made, if you ask a person why didn't you go and play tennis today, that person who can give you an explanation of what's going on, why did that person decide not to go. But a machine learning algorithm cannot explain that. So there is machine learning, explainability that's kind of a hot research area today, which will be able to explain why a complex machine learning algorithm made a decision one way or the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think we have a question from Raja. So I think he is asking what are major tools for analysts. So I think pretty much on our page Storytelling by Data on Instagram, we have covered almost everything, all the skills, I mean, all the tools, skills that's needed for an analyst. If you ask me for a data analyst, SQL is very important. And then data visualization skills like Power BI, Tableau. There are other visualization tools. So if you are in like SAS, those kind of stuff, so you can use their visualization tools. And another skill would be tool would be Python or R. Python again or R, it's not like needed like completely like a very good great Python programmer for a data analyst. You just need like basics of Python. So that's what you need for a data analyst. Yeah. So okay, you started learning Tableau for storytelling, MySQL for database. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think that's a great start. Tableau. Okay. Yeah. So Tableau. So actually, I think Raja, I think you're like. So storytelling is just a power skill or a soft skill. So Tableau is actually more used for the visualization. The storytelling is done by you. You should do it. That is where the narrative part of data comes in. That's where you are presenting to the stakeholders. That's when the storytelling skills comes in. Yeah, usually Tableau or Power BI, they are the data visualization tools. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So if you guys have any questions, we're going to be wrapping this up in 2 minutes. So if you have any questions, put it down in the chat box below. So we'll be answering them. We're just left with 2 more minutes and then we'll wrap up the session. All right. So like for last few thoughts, do you want to give like tips for those who are getting into data science? That last key takeaways for the session. Any?
Yeah, I think many people miss to check if they are the right kind of people for data scientist position. It's not for everyone, so please check yourself to see if you qualify or if you would enjoy being a data scientist, and don't get stressed out.
And I think for that, yeah, I would definitely recommend you to check the data career roadmap of ours. So that can help you to at least understand and understand what your transferable skills are. It's more of a workbook where you have to write it down and and see what your actual skills are, and then how you can use them in to become a data scientist or data analyst, whatever field you want to go into in the data world. And definitely recommend you to check that out. And also we have a
We
course.
have a video on YouTube that we posted a few weeks ago. Do check that out. It talks about 5 steps to get into data science. And I extensively talk about how do you check if you're the right person to get into data science there.
Yeah. Yeah, and also we have a course that's coming up. It's all about building your data science portfolio. It will be right from picking the right data science project to the end, covering up
Building your
to
resume,
resume.
LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile, GitHub, all of that stuff.
So we have that coming up in March. So do check that out or too. It's all on our website. Whatever we are talking about is on our website, and we also have a lot of resources on YouTube. So yeah, do share this if you like this session today, and I think we will wrap it up. Thank you all for joining in. It was nice talking to you guys. I think Raja and some Amarendranath. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.